Testing, testing. Excuse me. This video is going to be, how to make money with Landstar part two. Um, in my previous video, there were some things that, I looked it over. I looked at it and I saw that I left out a lot of detail. And in the description, what I'm going to put is how to make 3,000 plus a week with Landstar. Guarantee you, if you follow these suggestions, you will make 3,000 plus a week with Landstar. Now, mind you, it'll fluctuate, it'll fluctuate. Maybe 2,000, maybe 2,500, but definitely you can earn 3,000 plus a week. A lot of people are saying, how do you do that? You can't make 3,000 plus 4,000 or whatever in this climate. I, I beg to differ. I've done it. Let me tell you how. So in the previous video, I was telling you how to, pick your loads where it's worth it. So in this scenario, we're going to say Houston to South Carolina. Say, for instance, you pick the load from Houston to South Carolina, paying 2,500. You pick the load on Monday, right? You pick the load on Monday. You get to South Carolina on Wednesday. What you're going to want to do is when you're on the road, or maybe either Monday morning while you're getting loaded, or Tuesday, you're going to want to get another load. Now that load, it's up to you. My preference is, in this example, we're going to say Houston to South Carolina, right? So now what you're going to want to do is pick a load from South Carolina back to Texas, right? It's the same. Hopefully it'll give you within the 2,500, let's say 2,000 to 2,500 range. That gets you up to now, though, with those two, the gross is going to be 4,500, right? Once you get to Texas, or even before, while you're on the road, you want to make sure that you secure a load coming back to South Carolina. Now, this is just an example. The same example can apply to Houston, uh, Colorado, however. Um, maybe not, but let me come back to it. Okay. So Houston, South Carolina, back. What you want to do is keep your loads booked. I have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday rule. I make sure to have a load on Monday. And then before I get there, I have a load leaving that place on Wednesday. Then I also have a load once I get there on Friday. I have a load either coming back to my original place. This is my route, right? So whatever your route is, make sure it's a route that's going to get you between 2,000 to 2,500. Now, mind you, it might be easier to leave from Texas, South Carolina, and find a load that's 2,500. If you can find some decent loads coming out of Dallas. Dallas is central hub. You can find some decent loads coming out of Dallas. You take that load to South Carolina. Now in South Carolina, some of the markets are smaller, so you might not be able to get that. That's all right. Set your notifications for $1,000. A lot of people gonna trip. They're like, oh man, but hear me out. You're going to find a load between 1,500 to 2,000, right? And so regardless, your first trip was 2,500. Your second trip was 1,500. That's 4,000. So now when you leave back out of Dallas, you make sure you optimize that amount, which means you're going to pick up another load for 2,500. So now you got Dallas was 25. You left. This is the worst case scenario. You left South Carolina for 1,500. You brought it back. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't a big deal. You brought it back. That was 4,000. You left Texas. You went back to North Carolina, South Carolina, and now you're up to 6,000. What you did right there was all of those loads. If you find places to fuel properly, you know, you found places in your route that where the fuel is pretty low. You know, you can go to a 1.9. You can, whatever your favorite place is, make sure that you know all the places in your route that where the fuel is pretty low. And so now what you do is you take an advance off of all those lows, like 2,500. You're not going to need more than 700. Like I explained, that 3,000, that 300 goes in your pocket, right? And so then you leave, you leave South Carolina or North Carolina, and you only got paid 15 to 2,000 or whatever. So they're going to give you an $800 advance. You're going to probably pocket two, maybe one or 200. So now this is for the week, 400. You leave, you leave that, Houston again or Texas again. And now you have another 400. So let me see, 3, 4, 800. You've made 800 that week. What's going to happen is once you receive your settlement, if you don't owe anything, your settlement should be 1,500, right? Or more, between 15 and 2,000. So now you've made close to 3,000. If you pick the right places to fuel, then that with your advance, you'll be able to pocket more and more money. I don't know if you're understanding. So with, with the advance and then the settlement, whenever your settlement date is, you're going to make 15 to 2,000 off of that load, these loads but you have to have 3 loads in a week. So you got to keep yourself busy. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do your 34. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do your 34 and keep on doing it. I ran into a guy and he was telling me, he said, man, you running hard. Listen, you have to run hard to make the money that you want. You have to. Um, some people think that you can't make that much money with Landstar because they charge you 35%. You can still make that amount of money. Make sure that you try to keep your gross at 6,000, meaning the lows that you pick. Don't trip about like 2,500 leaving Texas is cool. 1,500 to 2,000 leaving wherever. It's still cool. Stay within $6,000 range. You're going to find some good loads coming out of North Carolina, South Carolina, maybe not every time. And then that'll make your overall gross even higher, which will put you in a 2,2,500 or yeah, about 2,000 payout. If you keep your gross at $6,000, you're going to make between 2,000 and 2,500 easy, easy. Okay. So the next thing that I saw that I missed on my last video was the benefits of Landstar. You know, even though they're charging 35%, the benefits are, and I have a list here. Um, you get, LCAP will give you discounts on tires and they'll give you an advance on those tires. You know, if you need a tire, you have a blowout or whatever, just call. If after your year, you'll have access to all of that. Your tires, they're not going to pay for them, but they'll give you a discount. Loans on repairs. You need a loan on repairs. Call into LCAP, call into Landstar. Also hotels. I got stuck in Jacksonville, or really wasn't stuck. I had to do a 34 and I couldn't find a parking. So I ended up parking at the actual, the receiver. I just went to the dock and I just stayed there. I couldn't find any parking, so I had to. So I went to the receiver, parked, bumped the dock, but there's no bathrooms there. There's nothing, nothing to eat or whatever. So what I did was I got a hotel room. I went on the website. LCAP has, discounts on hotels. So I went to the Red Roof Inn. It wasn't, 5-star hotel or whatever, but it was good. It was good enough. 20% discount where it was, 80 dollars, $85 or whatever. I paid 54. So that's another benefit. Of course, your trailer, you don't have to pay for your trailer or whatever. You can, uh, they provide a trailer to you. The only thing is you can't just park with your trailer. Like, you can't just park with your trailer. That trailer is not yours. So that means if you go home on vacation or whatever, you think you're going to, be home for 2 weeks or whatever, don't, don't think you can just keep that trailer. You got to get, work on your truck, and you're going to be home for 2 weeks. Don't think you can just keep that trailer. Like, they're going to call for the trailer. It has to stay in the system. You can't just sit on it. Um, Loans. Be careful with the loans because, the thing is that all of what I said about making money, big money, if you have a loan, you have to repay that loan. If you get a $2,000 loan for repairs, um, you got to sign a contract saying that, you'll pay that money back. And a lot of times it's between 400 and 500. So if you were expecting a settlement for 1,500, it's going to be 1,000, or, your insurances come at the first of the month. So you got to be prepared for that. And if you owe loans on top of, the insurance at the first of the month, then you might not get anything, or you might just get 500. Excuse me. So be careful with the loans. Just expect the unexpected. When you have loans and they're taking it, when they're getting, when they're getting their money back, they're recouping their money, then you might have to live off advances until you pay off that loan for the most part. There's also something I said about the ATL, Atlanta, and I didn't clarify what I didn't like about traveling through Atlanta. Say for instance, I'm leaving Texas. The middle point is Atlanta, right? Or, I could probably get to Atlanta. I'll go through, is it Alabama? But eventually I'm going to get close to Atlanta. The problem with Atlanta is a lot of times there's nowhere to park. Um, it's busy. The city is busy. It's traffic all the time. Like at nighttime, there's just traffic. It's a busy city. Everybody has a truck. It's hard to find somewhere to park. A lot of times you stuck with paying for parking, or just, you just have to find somewhere to park, and it's hard to find somewhere to park in Atlanta. So that's what I didn't like about Atlanta. Um, for you new drivers, get a Garmin. Get a Garmin, get some type of GPS that works, that where you can put on truck settings and you can find your stop locations. it'll help a lot. Um, you can find your fuel through the Landstar online app, but it's also convenient to have your own, maybe a couple of means to find lodging, truck stops. Also, personal conveyance. And I wanted to add this about personal conveyance because these videos are for the new drivers, not for you guys that are going to look at the video and be like, duh, like shut up. Um, like I know you guys already know this, but this is for the newest. This is what I wish someone would have told me and warned me about. So your personal conveyance, you can use your personal conveyance on weekends. You get back and forth to the store, maybe to go to the gym. Personal conveyance is not used for your own convenience to get closer to the shipping or whatever. The more you use personal conveyance, the more likely they're going to take it away from you. Once they take it away from you, you can't even move your truck. You can't even move your own truck on off days. Um, it's just no longer on the ELD. There's not an option for you to move your truck. So be careful with overusing personal conveyance. Landstar has been snatching personal conveyance left and right. But the thing is, I got my personal conveyance snatched away. And then for a year, they took away my personal conveyance. So this was last August. I might get it back. I'm not really stressing about it because what I found is that I didn't even need it. I didn't really need it. It made me a better driver to not have personal conveyance and to just structure my trips where I know where I'm going to park every time. So yeah, that's about it. So remember the Monday, Wednesday, Friday rule. If, sometimes you can find a trip like going to, you might find a trip going to California that's paying something real nice, right? But you'll get that big payout initially, but it'll mess up your week. Your whole goal is to get 6,000 gross or more and able to make this work the way that I'm telling you that it should work. Um, we're aiming for 2,500 a week. We got to make sure that somehow we make this make sense. 6,000 a week, however it has to add up. I don't care you know, if you leave South Carolina and you weren't able to get that 2,500, or, if you were only able to get 1,500 coming out of South Carolina, and this is just an example. This is just an example. Then when you leave Texas again, what you're going to do is you're going to make it work. You're going to make that, and if you can make more money, like if you get over $6,000 into the $7,000 range for that week, then that's going to make your settlement even better. So just remember all of those things. I'm going to write down some more things for you guys. That's important to me, and I'll pass it on to you. So I'm going to title this how to make 3,000 plus with Landstar. All right. Peace.